Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the AAOL. We are here finally for tonight's game between Error 404 and Not the Bank, and it's looking to be an absolute banger. I'm Pyronius, and I am joined here by Bouncy Bear.
Hello, everybody.
And so it looks like we will be heading into this game, starting, of course, with Lijiang Tower. What can we expect to see from these teams on this map, Bouncy?
I think the Goats meta is still viable, so we may see Goats coming out here yet again for most teams, although I'd love to see not Goats for once, that'd be nice. But it seems like both Goats are going to come out here.
Yeah, absolutely. It is still a very dominant composition on the current patch. There are definitely teams, especially at the highest tier, that have come up to solutions for it, but for a lot of teams, those solutions do require a lot more effort and a lot higher skill and communication from their players to really pull off. So a lot of the time it is easier just to go with the Goat's mirror. That said, we will be heading out here into Night Market, and already Who Cares really far out in front of his team is going to make it back to safety, however, as these two teams jostling for position. April has gone down early from Sefu, however, and that is definitely going to put a big advantage into the hands here of Not the Bank. They do get the kill onto Padawagon back at the same time as losing their main tank in Who Cares, however. So this is still looking very much like it's going to be a one fight for the members here of Error 404. No, sorry, of Not the Bank. They are cleaning up. No, it was Error 404. Sorry, I'm getting my team names completely mixed up, but that will be an early point cap here by the members of Error 404.
A very early, interesting strat coming out here by especially Kazoo Kid. He pushed very early there and didn't get much in return of it, so we'll see how they do next round here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an early grab coming out from Sefu, but the sound barrier is there to answer it. They've lost April early again, though. Shatter followed up by Shatter, and Kazoo Kid getting the better end of that one. And the late Transcendence coming through from Cherry as well, going to definitely keep all the members here alive. This is looking like it's going to be a very early capture here by the members of Not the Bank.
That early grab was a witch flip around there for Error 404, I believe. Oh, actually, Not the Bank, my apologies. As now they're gonna try and hold this point here. Solid hold for a Ghost on Ghost comp.
It's a strong place to hold, but they don't really have the ultimates to actually really get that. And Kazuki going down super early there. Sound barrier's dropped a moment too late to save it, and FZ are getting two with the Diva Bomb over the top. There is a late trade back onto Shillo, but overwhelmingly the kills coming through in favour of Error 404. So we will see the point flip once again. Both teams at the early 30s.
This is what they call the flippy game. Error 404 and Not the Bank going to flip between them constantly here. Well, they'll be looking for a consistent hold here. So going to the fourth attack.
Yeah, and Kazuki going down early, and Who Cares getting that Shatter up is absolutely brutal. There's going to be a quick and decisive fight win there by the members of Error 404 as they look to extend their lead on this point.
Yeah, and this is what Error 404 need here. They need to extend so that they can give themselves some room to breathe for if they lose the point, it flips back over to Not the Bank. But they've got now the lead on Error 404 here. So we're looking at 1-2 fights max for Error 404.
Ooh, early grab gets eaten by Cherry there, or gets eaten by FZR rather. Cherry's going to want that one back, and Shatter gets more or less cancelled out by that Transcendence as well. There's the grab in return, also eaten, but Kazukid has gone down early to his counterpart, and Who Cares? So this is looking very dominant here for the members of Error 404. They've got complete control of this team fight. They do lose FZR's mech, but all the kills are coming through in favour. Cherry's gone down. There's a late desperation grab just trying to turn this one around, but it's simply too little, too late, and the Shatter there from Who Cares just ending this fight and ending this round.
Yeah, I feel like that decisive push there was to start it off at the very top there. The Diva Matrix to cancel out Sifu's grab stopped a lot of pressure from Error 404. It gave Not the Bank's. It didn't give Not the Bank any space and led Error 404 to a problem.
Absolutely, and so we will be heading over to Control Center next. It's going to be interesting to see what adaptations, if any, come out from these teams here, given that a lot of teams have been really liking like the Mapex here, and it looks like Padawagon from Not the Bank actually going to be leaving spawn here on the Junkrat to provide a bit more damage, while their counterparts from Era 404 going to be staying on the traditional Zen goats. And these two teams now pushing through to meet up in the White Room just next to the point. They're going to be exchanging fire. So far already a lot of pressure going on to the members of Era 404. A lot of them getting very low there, but there's a stun onto Padawagon. Doesn't even know nothing can come from it. And the kills are starting to come through. April has gone down. Sefu gets killed, but so does Kappa. And that Junkrat really providing so much extra pressure and damage in those tight spaces. This will be an early fight win for Not the Bank as they look to start building progress here.
Yeah, on Control Center especially, Junkrat is going to cause a massive pain to goats, as long they won't be able to go around that, to stick together tight to make it work. So Junkrat's just going to rip through that shield and tear through most of what they.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we do have the counter push coming through from the members of Era 404 now. And there it is, big shatter coming through from Who Cares. But a couple of kills coming back, but perhaps not everything they're looking for it. And the Junkrat side manages to get FCR's mech, even as Who Cares goes down as well. So the members of Not the Bank trading back here quite well. And they're still keeping control at this point. There are still a couple of members of Era 404, but they're actually having to back off here as Padawagon's Junkrat really coming in handy.
Yeah, the Padawagon's Junkrat is very good. April didn't get much out of her Brig ult, so now she's swapped off to the Ana here, which could provide a little bit of pushing power for Not the Bank.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting choice. We have seen this adaptation a little bit as of recently, where they're running no Brig and running the Ana instead, but we do see dueling grabs coming out here. Tasty Taco's gone down very early though, and all the kills coming through for Not the Bank here. So once again, an easy hold for Not the Bank, and Era 404 really need to come up with something soon. They are running out of time here.
Very much. I mean, that fight was over from the beginning with the grab. The grab got a few people. The Ana didn't really involved in that fight, throwing the nade, it didn't affect much. Unfortunately, they have both grabs and shield bearers to use that fight. So
84% on the clock, and here comes the Riptide from Padawagon. This could be devastating. Unfortunately, doesn't get anything done with that one due to the Transcendence, but Shilo goes on the flank to try and take out the Junkrat, gets punished for it hard, and we are going to see Reinhardt's trading out here, but that just favors the defenders, and Not the Bank have managed to tie this one up.
Yeah, Not the Bank did an excellent job of holding that first short point in line of defensing against against Era 404, and Era 404 just couldn't break it through. They had no counter to the Ghost Junkrat style that they were trying to play. They tried to use the Ana, but it didn't really work. So they just couldn't do it. Hopefully they're going to try and look for something this map.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be going over to Gardens for our final decisive one. And that means we're probably going to see some more adaptations. Not the Bank, again, showing us a different version. Padawagon going over to the Farah here. They will be running a Pharmacy in the sky. And sticking on the Lucio Brig on the ground with those dive tanks. So that could be a very interesting composition running up against this Zen Goats. And as I say that, Who Cares actually going over to the Winston as well. So it actually will be a Flying Goats out of the members of Era 404.
And very going to be...
There's some early jostling on the point here. A couple of Brigaders using their stuns up. April has once again gone down first in this fight. They definitely are an early kill a lot of the time here. Padawagon uncontested in the high ground at this point. Just flying around the top, raining down rockets, and all the kills coming through in favor of Not the Bank. Era 404 sent back to spawn. They're going to need to come up with some solution here, because just running this Goats into what they've been running it into so far just has not worked out in these last two map stages.
Yeah, they have swapped to McCree, so this is a very weird position of Protect the President, but they have made a few more swaps here. Coming in with a very weird dive sort of comp. I'm not sure if this is the counter to the comp that not the Bank is running, but we shall soon see.
Well, Kappa on the Widow is definitely going to provide a lot of pressure to Padawagon and Cherry in the skies, because as soon as that sightline there. That said, Tasty Taco is still a very easy target to dive and gets punished really hard. Shiloh's gone down as well, and there goes Who Cares. Here comes the reset. Kappa does get a late kill onto the Mercy with Shuri going down. That's an opportunity if they're able to regroup and push through quickly, but it's only going to be a matter of time, and with that late stagger onto Kappa, that window is all but closed.
Yeah. The double swap to the hit scans didn't prove amazingly well, as Pada just took out Taco early in that fight there. Wasn't able to give him a chance, and now he's up to that Pharah there, trying to give some Pharah combat without Far Mercy for Taco though.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous position to be playing from, but here comes the engagement now. Tanks diving onto the point, but they're absolutely isolated. The peel is real. Primal Rage being popped here just to keep them alive, but Padawagon's over the top with the barrage, takes down Kappa, and does get the D-Mech onto FCR as well. They've lost Phoenix Risen, but there's the res, so it's only a matter of time, and we're heading into above 80% here. This very well could be the last fight, and this is looking very promising for the members of Not the Bank. All the kills are coming through in their favor. We are going to have a sound barrier popped here by Shiloh, who gets knocked off the map immediately after it going down, which means it's just not providing the full effect. It only caught a couple of members as it was, and all the kills here still coming through for the members of Not the Bank. Diva Bomb on the point picks up nothing, and Padawagon continues to rain death down upon this team. They are just picking up the members of Era 404 as they trickle onto this point, and it really is going to need to be a miracle to turn it around. Shiloh just accepts his fate and stands in front of that Diva Bomb. It's only a matter of time until all these members are finally macked up. There's the barrage from Tasty Taco, but it gets knocked out of the sky before that can go through, and that will be the map for Era 404. Do I have my team names in the wrong order?
You may, Era 404. I do feel you and I both said it, not the wrong ones, but it's wrong. But that shot played very crucial, as you can see, played a very crucial role in the stoppage of goats there. A good Junkrat can counter a decently sized goats, as we saw that game. But I think Not the Bank's biggest problem in that game was they didn't swap fast enough to counter what Era 404 gave to them. So, especially on King of the Hill, you got to play that flippy counter game, and I don't think Not the Bank played it as well as Era 404 did.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing just a lot more flexibility out of the members of Era 404 here, as they've proven that they have DPS players who can play DPS heroes, and that's something that basically we didn't really see from Not the Bank. They only pulled them out towards the very end when their back was against the wall, and so far it just was not a very good showing from them. So it's going to be interesting to see if, as we move on to our other game mode, and we make our way, by the looks of it, over to Dorado, whether or not we will see a difference, or if we're going to continue to see Not the Bank trying to run the same thing and not getting anywhere from it. Now, let's see if they are able to come up with some solutions to what they're seeing from this DPS-supported 3-2-1 Goats-esque comp that Era 404 has been running.
Yeah, they've seen what Era 404 can play, and hopefully they can come. I'm looking to see a Widowmaker or a Hanzo in this map. There is some length of range in this map, so it should be much better than Lee Junker. But yeah, the biggest problem here will be a Bastion comp, as I was about to say, on attack, and I think the words got taken straight out of my mouth with Era 404 playing a Bastion style Orisa attack team. I can't think of the name, it's really bad.
The pirate ship, you mean?
The pirate ship, that one. I forgot the pirate ship. That's really sad. Anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting map to run pirate ship on, because pirate ship has traditionally had a vulnerability to high ground positions where you can rain indirect fire down on top of it. And obviously a lot of that available in Dorado, but it does look like they're sticking with this and committing to it. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can punish that with the Sombra and with the Ash that the members here of Not the Bank have available. They do have the tools they need to shut this down, but as always, it's all in the execution. Who Cares getting sniffed out early by Phoenix Risen is not a good sign, And, oh, he's actually used his jump to go deeper. That's not a great place to be if you are a Winston. Shiloh now under a lot of pressure as well on the Ashe, having to back off. And so far, this payload is basically free-rolling. Finally, they commit onto it under the Arch. But an early kill onto Cherie does get cancelled out by the res. So, once again, this payload just pushing through uncontested. They've made it through the choke and into the courtyard here. They need to do something to stop this. And it looks like they're not going to, and they're just getting mowed down here by the Bastion. All the members here of Not the Bank just getting absolutely destroyed. That's going to be an easy, almost effortless first point take here from the members of Era 404.
Even with the Sombra on Not the Bank's team, they weren't able to identify, I guess, and utilize the counter for Bastion there. Which would have been to just hack Bastion and jump in, but I don't believe, Not the Bank didn't use that to their best advantage, whereas Era 404 just did a solid roll straight through, and now they're going to have a Bastion ult to use this fight.
Yeah, now the Bastion getting up on the high ground there with the Orisa is definitely not what was going to be expected, and that is going to be an absolute monster of a thing to deal with, because they now have to worry about the payload pushing on one direction with this crossfire coming from the Bastion. Really nice set play here from the members of Era 404, and it is definitely paying off for them as they get that D-Mech there. Shiloh also getting taken out as they try to summon the Bob. The Bob does go down, but it's only a matter of time until that is dealt with on the payload. This cart continues to be just free-rolling, and it looks like the members of Not the Bank here just really struggling to come up with a solution to what they're facing.
Yeah, the Split Bastion was something very unexpected that came out. They did jump the Bastion, unfortunately, without their supported DPS, so who cares, and FCR just got rolled over by the Bastion.
There's going to be the commit of the Orisa Supercharger here, which is just going to turn that into a giant heavy machine gun. Finally, they've managed to take out the Bastion, though. Thanks to using a lot of ultimates, they might finally be able to get this one through. Actually, by a lot of ultimates, I really just meant two. It really was just the EMP and the Nano, so all things considered, not a bad fight win cost-wise for the members of Not the Bank, and finally they've got a defense they can set up around here, try and stop this payload.
Yeah, it's not the greatest defense though, to be fair. The Hammond and Diva are amazing at defense, especially seeing Era 404 is going to go around the back here.
Yeah, they're still running Padawagon on the Bastion. They haven't swapped it off. They have swapped Kazukid onto the Reinhardt to be able to give a bit more forward pressure, but they obviously still have some plays in mind here on the attack to not be trading off this Bastion as of yet. They are going to use the tank mode. They're actually going to nano the tank, so they're going to get very aggressive here, but it looks like, as expected, there's just no one around to shoot at with this big scary ultimate. Now the commitment coming through, and that is a huge bomb from FCR. That is absolutely going to do the job here. And once again, the members of Era 404 sent back to spawn. This time I imagine we're going to see some more changes.
Definitely they should see some changes as Genji swaps off. Tracer then will go back on. They swapped to a 2-2-2 little dive comp here. But that was a lot of ults used, to be fair. I mean, I believe Era 404 knew they were going to swap off, so it was D-Day for them. I didn't expect Not the Bank to use as many ults as they did. I think that was about 4 ults they used last game. I think that was too many.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are going to have another fight breaking out here. Just players poking at each other on the high ground. Early kill onto Tasty Targo could very well be the go button, because Kid gets punished going deep as well. That's a bigger trade back. And Sefu getting D-Mech there. This is looking very good for the defense once again. So it is going to look like here we are going to be seeing members of Not the Bank continue to manage this hold here. There's a late EMP coming through as well, just to try and clean up the last few members of Era 404. I don't know if that one was needed, but it has done its job.
It didn't seem needed, although, to be fair, Sombra ults are very easy to get. So it could be a bit of tactical. To be fair, I'm glad they only used 1 ult instead of 2. They'd finished that fight. 2 would have been extremely bad. But Era 404 here, going to try and go around the back yet again with their dive comp here.
Yeah, it's going to be, we do need to see something out of them. The last few executions haven't looked too great, and they've led to some fairly easy defenses here from the members of Not the Bank. They need to get something going here, and they don't really have much on the horizon. They will be getting the blade fairly soon. Kazuki getting hacked out, though, is going to put an end to this push. There goes Shuri as well. So once again, a successful push. This one at least getting a couple of ultimates out of the defenders in the Bob and the minefield. But with 1 minute left on the clock, there's only really so much they've got left. They really need to make this next one count, but they are going to have the Dragon Blade up to do it.
Yeah, Dragon Blade, Trace Pulse Bomb is what they're going to have to use here. Hopefully, wanting to get that Winston Primal basically late into the fight. The Padawagon will basically go.
Oh, it's a good eat there by FCR, and Padawagon getting stuffed out early at the start of this fight as well. The res does come through, so this is still, the win condition is still on the cable. Here comes the Blade, but the Diva Bomb over the top is just going to really zone him out. Really nice placement from that by FCR as well. Catches Shuri inside the Winston bubble. Padawagon does manage to pick up Kappa on the back end of the Blade, but Kazukid has gone down as well. And Tasty Targo with the Transcendence here, just keeping everyone nice and topped up. Defenders looking very good in this fight. April does go down, but there goes Padawagon as well. And it looks like the defenders have done it here. It is just a mini Diva and a Tracer who has just gone down there. Here's another minefield on the payload just to deny further space. And it is just clean up on the cart. Drac goes for the sound barrier and unfortunately doesn't manage to hit the ground. All the kills coming through in favor of the members here of Not the Bank. They're absolutely going to stop this one here at the end of Dorado, and that is a decent place to hold.
It's a very good place to hold for Era 4-4. They should be very proud of that. The start of the game was a bit stuffy, but they manned together to defeat the Bastion. After the Bastion, that was it for Era 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if your momentum is not able to carry you through that last part of Dorado's second, it can absolutely be a nightmare to attack into with that opposite high grounds, both of which are going to be under control of the defenders at the start of the fight. So it can definitely be a very strong position to set up that defense. A lot of the time, teams really rely on just the momentum of their previous team fights to be able to push it through there and not have to deal with that, because when it stops there, it can be very hard to get it going again.
Yeah. Although, yeah, we didn't see amazing performance from Not the Bank and Lijiang Tower. They looked like it was their warm-up game. They pulled together and they made a very strong defense. It's going to be hard for Era 404 to defend the first one here. It is doable.
Oh, it is definitely doable. That's the big thing about Dorado, is that there are good defensive positions to stop the payload at almost every point. A lot of payload maps, second point is almost something of a whitewash. Here on Dorado, it can absolutely be stopped there. Every point has its really nasty defensive positions. And so it really comes down to teams to be able to take advantage of those and just bleed time off the clock and try and prevent that full cap. That said, it looks like we are going to be seeing a quad DPS coming out from the members of Not the Bank here. This is definitely always a very exciting game to watch when this happens. So let's see how they can execute that with these heroes.
Does look poor though for Padawagon here. This looks like he's not going to be his day.
Yeah, definitely rough to be playing Junkrat into this sort of multi-DPS poke comp, where you don't have the long range or the positioning, the ability to reposition as easily as some of those heroes. Definitely going to be difficult to deal with that. But as long as he stays safe in these side rooms, makes advantage of the map geometry, it's not all over as of yet. Kazukid's really the one under a huge amount of pressure there when you're playing the main tank into this sort of multi-pronged attack. Who Cares commits in early with the dive, but is going to roll out there successfully. Oh, that's a great hook onto FCR though. FCR getting pulled out of the sky from Sefu, and that is absolutely going to see the attackers back off here. They're going to move around. They're going to try and set up their next attack from multi-directions. No, Kappa actually gets snuffed out in the backline. The old flash and hammer taking out the Widow as they move around. That's just going to buy more time off the clock here, as Not the Bank look to set this, look to get this one going, and Era 404 look to set up this defense. Another stagger kill onto April. This multi-DPS comp can trade really well, but if you're going to go for trades, you need to get the kills. And that is another kill onto the Mercy. Who Cares committing in now. Just going to get stunned and flashed out. Kappa taken out as well. And I don't think this is going to work here for Not the Bank. Maybe they need to swap off this one, because I'm not sure they've got a proper understanding of how this one plays.
I'd highly suggest swapping off currently. Error 404 in no case backing up here. They're going to sit with this point here, but they're not going to.
Yeah, here comes another commitment, but this time nothing much coming from it. FCR, bit out of position there, but does manage to get away. And there's the bob in over the top. Junkrat Tire is going to be rolling through. Deadeye coming out from Phoenix as well. So a lot of ults being committed from the defense. They take out the bob with the Deadeye, and there goes Kappa from the Riptire as well. Who cares, getting picked up by Sefu on the Roadhog as well. So a lot of kills coming through for the defense. They've committed a lot of ultimates to get that hold, though. That might be a window for the attackers, but at the same time, it looks like the attackers finally starting to swap things up. Tasty Taco has gone over to the Zen, but they still seem to be... They're not regrouping back to spawn. What are they trying to do here?
They were without that last fight. They were missing actually a Mercy, a reason as to why they went down so quick, but they've started to form up here.
Oh, Sefu now getting chased off the high ground there. That is a good kill to open up this fight. And there goes Drac as well. So it looks like finally the attackers managing to get the kills they need. They've taken down 3 in short order. And it seems like it's only a matter of time until they get this one through. Kappa has been traded back by Cherie, but they are going to get this point A capture finally. With just under a minute left on the clock, that is going to buy them some more time.
With 4 members of Era 404 at the early spawns with very interesting defense hold for Era 404. Interesting to see. At the bank, wanting to continue their performance all the way through. You lose momentum in this match, it is very hard to catch back up.
Exactly, and we just saw that on the previous defense phase with the members of Era 404 getting snuffed out at the end of B. But they still need to reclaim the momentum, the initiative, and this payload before things get too far out of hand. And Kappa is set up on the high ground with the Widow, but here comes the team pushing through with those tanks just to take away that space from the Widowmaker there. That said, we are sort of looking like we're spreading everything out. There's a couple of little skirmishes happening over the map now without anyone really being together. There's the early kill onto Shiloh. Phoenix Ryan is in getting that pick. Padawagon has gone down, being traded by Kappa. Both Widowmakers still alive. There's going to be a lot of danger. There goes Phoenix Rising, and there goes Cherie as well. Kappa finally making their mark on this Widowmaker as they tear open this team fight, and this payload is now pushing through at an alarming speed for the defenders here. And Kazuki under a lot of pressure here now. It does actually get taken out there as well. Padawagon is back in on the Doomfist on the cart. Just trying to get something done. Does manage to take out April before getting picked up. That may be what they need, but the minefield's there, preventing the defenders from getting the recontest, and Bob adding to the mix is going to make it very difficult. They do get a couple of members on the payload just to try and stop this one up. Diva Bomb not getting a lot over the top, but Cherie and Drac have been taken out. The support's unable to make it back into the fight, and the kills are still coming through in very much in favor of the attackers. That is all the members of Era 404 down, and so Not the Bank will be taking Dorado.
That makes it 1-1, and that map showed purely 100% what momentum does for a team. You have momentum, you can keep rolling on. You lose it, that's where your time stops.
Yeah, absolutely, and just... I doubted them. I thought it was time for them to swap off, but they go for one last push on this multi-DPS comp. They finally manage to find their marks, and once they do, and once they break open this defense, there's just no stopping them. So a really good comeback from the members of Not the Bank there. They're going to tie up the series 1-1, and we will be heading over to Hanamura next for our Assault map.
Should see some things. We'll probably see more goats. But we will hopefully see some maze in between there and a few other characters. I'm hoping that we see potentially a Soldier. That's what I'm really looking forward to on Hanamura. Soldier can cause some damage, but isn't the best of times in most circumstances. Hanamura is one of those special maps. Any thoughts for the next map, Farah?
I think. Well, from what we get, I'm getting all tangled up here. Based on what we've seen from the last couple of maps, I think Soldier's probably fairly unlikely, just because he doesn't have the burst damage. Obviously, with the armor nerfs, he's not bad for basically providing the sustained damage over time to put a lot of pressure down on shields and on tank health. But he doesn't really have the decisive burst damage that really wins fights. And that's going to be absolutely so crucial. especially given that we have been seeing the teams favouring much higher damage hit scans like the Widowmaker, like the Ash, like the McCree, who, generally speaking, will be beating Soldier in those one-on-one duels. And so, with that in mind, it's going to be very difficult to get a lot of value out of a Soldier. That said, we'll have to see how things go. It looks like the defense coming out here from the members of Not the Bank is actually going to be a double sniper defense. Not something we really see a lot on the Hanamura defense, but let's see how it works out for them.
A Bastion attack is confusing me very much here. I thought for a second they were defense. It turns out I was wrong. So it looks like we're seeing a Bastion May comp going into attack against double snipers.
Yeah, I definitely.
This could be an interesting.
Definitely feel like each team comp probably more suited for their counterpart, but we'll see how this one goes. Obviously, they're going to be trying to get that Bastion into position. No, they're not even going to go for the high ground. Okay, they're going to be using the wall to get through. They want to get up onto the high ground with the Bastion and then rain down death from there. This starts to make sense to me now. And unfortunately, we will be seeing the rotation from the defenders here as well. They don't want to let that one get set up. Bastion, yes, gets set up and then repositions immediately, feeling a lot of pressure there from the long-range heroes. But there's the Bastion set up now, and that's just going to rain a huge amount of pressure down on top of the point. Who cares? Having to duck and hide. It's really going to come down to this Widow and this Hanzo to try and get a key kill into that attacking side, try and take an angle, try and put the pressure on. Here comes the commitment to the point now as well, and Phoenix Risen has been taken out by Kappa. That is huge. There goes Kazukid as well. All the kills rather, coming through in favor of the members of Not the Bank. That is a decisive hold, and that has bled a minute off the clock.
Yeah, the biggest problem there with not Era 404's judgment there is they all jumped to go on point, except they left Phoenix Rising alone up top there. Kappa and Shiloh were just easy. They were easy pickings for him, and he went down by both DPS, leading to 5v6.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the sort of opening that those DPS were waiting for on the Bastion as well, because that is what you need. You need that sort of opening. You need to take out that Bastion before he can put any more pressure down on your team, and just really well executed from the defenders pulling off. Here comes the commitment though. They have swapped over to a Winston, and that's going to be a quick kill onto Kappa. The Dragons pick up Kazukid on the trade as well, but Padawagon is still going wild on this Winston. He's taken down Shiloh as well, and this is still definitely one that could be ground out. There goes Tasty Taco, and now Padawagon has taken up 3. Who cares? Comes charging back to the point. But he's running out of team members here, and unfortunately it's just sort of him now, swinging around a hammer on the point. He actually pulls out the Shatter. I don't know what he was hoping to get from that one, but he will get punished for that. And there goes April as well, so that will finally be a decisive cap from Era 404. 1 minute 30 on the clock.
Yeah, unsure what Who Cares was going to do, but it does seem like he is now swapping to the Winston. That may have been a team decision to just throw it out there and say you can swap onto the Winston. But I'm not too sure what that Earth Shatter was. If he was going to continue on to Ryan, it seemed like a very silly Earth Shatter.
Yeah, I suppose if you were going to be swapping up for defense anyways, I suppose. But you've got to worry about getting Snowball here now. And, well, there's an early grab being committed there, but it's good. A couple of members caught on the side of the wall means they don't have line of sight to the sound barrier. But, unfortunately, not a lot coming through from that one yet. Kills starting to come through, in fact, in favor of the attackers here as they take down April and Taco. Kazukid has gone down, so it looks like with the defensive advantage, with the respawns, they will manage to hold that one out. But perhaps a bit of a near thing, a few more trades there, and maybe this could have been a real fight for second.
Yeah, this would have been close to a real fight, but the interesting Graviton Surge made it very complicated for Not the Bank to try, but Era 404 wasn't able to make anything out of it, even with the complicated Graviton.
Here comes the Primal Rage out from Who Cares. He has actually got Padawagon trapped in the room there, and he's just going to bully him down. There's the kill now. That's rough. That is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, very brutal. It's going to... we have the pause coming out due to a DC, but that was very brutal. A decent Primal Rage there, suspending the time of of Era 404 by about 10, 15, 20 seconds potentially. But now we're waiting here on the pause from Who Cares.
And you have to say, the silver lining of this one, it was actually Who Cares. It was the player being DC'd, so they haven't lost any ultimate charge from this disconnection, at least, having just used their Primal Rage. That said, it does mean there's an opportunity here if the members of Era 404 want to try and push this one through, because it's now an even trade, 1-for-1. With the defender's advantage, you probably don't favour it too much, but it's still an opportunity here for them to maybe try and take some space. I still think the play is probably to back up. They have got a lot of ultimates online, so perhaps just backing up, letting Padawagon rejoin them and going into 6 is probably the better move, but they do have that opportunity to go for the aggressive push, because Not the Bank missing their main tank. He will be coming back from spawn fairly quickly, but there's a difference between fairly quickly and there right now.
Yes, there definitely is, but compared to Padawakan's time duration, it'll be much quicker.
Yeah, and it looks like they will be waiting this one out and looking to group up. No, it looks like we're going back to the pause. I think some of the players perhaps still having a bit of trouble. Okay, so we are just waiting for the players to all be ready. It seems that the game was unpaused without checking with the opposing team if they were ready to recommence. And so we're just awaiting everyone to be back and ready before we get this one back underway. We do have 4 minutes left on the clock here for Era 404 to try and drive this one through. And Not the Bank looking a bit precarious on the defense there. There's a lot of ults against them at the moment, but Tasty Targo is 87% to the Transcendence here, so that will be that'll be up momentarily, and that will close that window of opportunity.
Yeah, well, the Tasty Tacos ult could single-handedly prevent 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 ults, all 4 ults from the side of Era 404 there. If Era 404 aren't careful with how they use their ults in a decent manner.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. We have seen a real turnabout here between these two teams after such a dominant beginning from the members of Era 404. Not the Bank really bring it back in Dorado. And so far, the attack from Era 404 has looked a bit shaky here on Hanamura. It's not the worst, and they do have a lot of economy in their favor here, but still yet to be seen as to whether or not they will be able to push this one through. It looks like the pause will be ending now, and we will be getting this one underway.
Very solid positioning here. They're going to reset up now. The pause allowed Who Cares to now reset up here, so they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they will be looking to push through onto the high ground here. Oh, they're really spread out. That's a very early grab here from Sefu, well before anyone's in position there. The Dragons come through, but doesn't really... I think the Dragons must have been misaligned with where the grab was, because they don't manage to get the kills through. The Transcendence comes out very late to deal with that one, and it's looking like the defenders are going to get the wave of respawns here. They should be able to reinforce. A tick has been picked up, but I think that might be all that happens here. FZR does get demec'd again, but it's sort of just Padawagon and Drac here alone on the point. And there goes Drac. Padawagon now having to back out. And yeah, bit of a weird fight there, but they have picked up at least a point. At the same time, they committed a lot of resources into that one.
Yeah, both Dragons did come out there with none of them really connecting to a Graviton at all. Phoenix's Dragons not getting anywhere with Sefu's Grav, and then Chilo not getting much out of his personal Dragon.
I actually disagree with that one. I think Shilo's Dragon was really good at preventing the members of Era 404 from being able to push through and actually capitalize on that Grav there. He doesn't have a Grav to play with, so with that in mind, I think it was a very high impact Dragons. That said, we do have another fight underway here, and it looks like this time Era 404 have got a good position on the point. There's the EMP over the top, but doesn't pick up Drac, and Drac drops the beat to just get all the members topped up. He does eventually get taken out here, but the kills are still getting traded back. The defenders look like they might be able to stabilize here, but kills are still coming through in favor of Era 404. They're still getting the kills they need. Who cares is Primal has now run out, and he has got the nano, and it looks like they will actually have to back off here, but a second tick has been picked up by Era 404.
Era 404 just slowly clawing their way to victory here. Shiloh has swapped off to the Reaper after his second Hanzo ult in that fight there. So they're going to try and break these triple tanks here.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good option, especially with how drawn out and brawly these fights are being. It's definitely a situation where the Reaper can really thrive. But we're getting down to the wire here. 90 seconds left is all that's on the clock for the attackers, and Paddlewagon going down at the start of that fight is absolutely devastating. You probably want to back out here, and it looks like that's what they'll do. They're going to go for the reset. They've really only got one more good push at this.
Yeah, Paddlewagon was out on his own. As a Winston, you can do that. Unfortunately, he got hacked and got jumped by half of Not the Bank's team. Good communication would have potentially prevented that, and then allowing Era 404 to come in with 5, but they did not.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Kappa providing a lot of information on the Sombra there behind the members of Era 404 as they try to make their way in. Hack on Sherry is not what you want to see either if you were a member here, but Paddlewagon has gone down early. There goes Phoenix, and Sherry's under on very low health there as well. The Transcendences are being pulled out. They're going to try and drag this one across the line. The kill's still coming through in favor of the defenders. There's 30 seconds left. They pull out a desperation grab from Sephiroth. It's not going to get anything. They did manage to build it up to 93.2%, but they've got one fight left, and it's not going to be a clean one. Not all of their members are really going to be ready here for this push with only 12 seconds on the clock.
And all that's left currently at the front is tier are 2 DPS players who are easily jumpable by both the tanks here.
And Kappa with the EMP as well is absolutely devastating. And here it comes. There it is. Boom. Huge EMP. Gets the whole team. And Drac is down. Phoenix under a lot of pressure as well. There's the Diva Bomb. The 1-2 punch of EMP Bomb. And that is going to clean up this point. And that is going to clean up this attack. As all the members of Era 404 get ejected from the second point of Hanamura.
Yeah, unfortunately there, Era 404 didn't have enough time to regroup really well. They had to push through main. The EMP Diva Bomb just claimed them straight out, and there was no hope for that capture point.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, I mean, given how difficult Hanamura second can be, 93.2% is not terrible, but at the same time, it's not a comfortable position to be in that you haven't full capped, you don't have time in the bank. So there's definitely some pressure being put down here, especially when you consider how good Not the Bank were on their Dorado attack. If they can replicate that success, once they got rolling, of course, that could be a very difficult thing to stop. And so far, Era 404 haven't really shown much of their early success earlier in the series in this game.
Yeah, what I've currently gathered from this game, the big message of this little series so far is not motivation. I've forgotten the word now. It starts with M, but yeah, motive. No, I can't think of the word. My apologies. But the amount that Not the Bank are pushing momentum, yeah. Momentum is the way they keep rolling through it. They rolled through Hanamura and then they got stopped, and then that was the end of their line. The same happened to Dorado, and the same happened to Not the Bank on Lijiang Tower.
Absolutely. So we are going to be seeing this time Paddlewagon onto the Mei. They're going to be running the Mei McCree based defense here, and it is the, I suppose, more traditional, like they're running the goats with the Sombra. We've been seeing that a lot lately. The hack onto the Mei is a great initiation, but unfortunately Tasty Taco gets picked off by the hacked Mei of all things, and a lot of kills coming through. It looks like Era 404 should be able to hold this one out.
Yeah, the hacked Mei was a very good choice there, but unfortunately Mei can still headshot and still shoot while she's hacked. So it slowed a little bit of the game down, but she's still got a very lucky kill onto Era 404.
Yeah, absolutely. Tasty Taco going down there at the start of the fight, not what you want to see. But they have had the reset, and once again, we do have Kappa making their way into the back lines, trying to get this one out. We do have just some jostling on the front. Oh, that's a huge shatter from Kazoo Kid coming through as that wall goes up. What a clean execution. The hack comes through onto Kazoo Kid way too late to matter, and that will be another clean team fight win.
Yeah, as you said, that was a very clean executed May ult into Earth Shatter from Kazoo Kid. Kazoo Kid now looking to gain his ult back again. High Noon is going to be ready and reloaded for this game. Whereas Not the Bank are still struggling with the ult economy. Closest is Who Cares?
Oh, that's a good flash though. Well predicted by Phoenix. He saw the translocator, threw out the flash. Kappa is, by the looks of it, going to get away now, but the push is coming through. There goes Kazoo Kid taken down early. That is the go button here, except Tasty Taco has been traded back. Is not what you want to see if you're trying to push into here. They are going to try and do it without their Zand, and they've taken down Sefu. There's the Shatter, gets nothing, it completely whiffs. I believe he may have been booped outside by Drac on the Lucio. If so, huge play there coming out from the Lucio. But here comes the counter engagement through, and this time they will get the point going.
Yeah, the main fighting force Era 404 defense there, that was shut down, was the Nano McCree High Noon, which in about a second as it was popped got hacked by Kappa. So it was a very lucky hack off Kappa, which cancelled out two of their ults, their defending force of ults.
Absolutely. That said, they do have the May ult with Paddle Wagon available to them. That should help give them some security against the Snowball. Unless Paddle's able to be hacked out. They're definitely looking for it, but here comes the May ult. There's the grab as well. That is two ults committed onto that point that have got nothing in them. You'd hate to see it, but the fight continues. Who Cares gets hacked out and bullied by Kazoo Kid. But there it is, the end back, as Kazoo Kid gets hacked and bullied in turn. April just running rampage on this Brigida right now, just swinging the flail at everyone and picking up the kills. It's going to be the sound barrier committed in here by Drac, just to try and keep things going. Padawagon's back on the May, but isn't really able to get anything going, and it's just getting bullied into the corner by the Brigida. Finally, Kazoo Kid comes through, almost gets the pin, but a great hack there from Kappa prevents him from landing that one. And here comes the grab from the attackers. They're getting a lot of kills here. It's really drawn out, but the attackers have managed to reinforce their numbers on the point. Meanwhile, the defenders just getting cleaned up easily, and they're not going to be able to get back on. That is it. That is Not the Bank picking up Hanamura.
Yeah, and again, I think about the fourth time I've said this tonight, momentum is the key here. Not the Bank were able to roll from first point straight into second point here, holding a successful defense against a successful attack against Era 404.
Well, it definitely doesn't hurt that both the Grav and the Blizzard were overlapped and thrown where there were no members of Not the Bank's players. Having those two high-impact crowd control ults, failing to get anything, really did open the gates for Not the Bank to be able to push that one through. And that's what they then turn around and do.
Yeah, as we still, those ults really mattered at the final stage. People say a missed ult is a minute lost, and that's what really showed there against Era 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we will be now moving over to Hybrid. We have match point for Not the Bank. They only need one more to make it happen. And we will, of course, be going over to King's Row to end this one. The players do have the choice between King's Row and Eichenwald, but let's face it, it's always going to go to King's Row. You know these guys, I know these guys. It's never going to Eichenwald. And so we will be heading into King's Row now. And this is a lot of pressure on Era 4 and 4 to try and bring this one back.
Yeah, Era 404 was starting strong, but now they dropped two maps against a very warmed up, it seems, Not the Bank now. So we'll see how King's Row goes for them. Probably going to see a goat or two in this.
I would imagine that's definitely a possibility, but what we really need to see is the members of Era 404 cleaning up their ult usage. They're stacking a lot of ultimates all into the one area and then just not getting anything with it, and that just can't continue if they are going to try and win this one back. I told you guys earlier on that Not the Bank was winning. And a couple of people laughing at me for getting my teams wrong, but let me tell you now, not the bank are winning. So who's laughing now? Probably still you guys. Love you, Twitch chat. Anyways, here on Kings Row, we are going to see actually the classic GOATS defense coming out from Not the Bank. They've shown us a couple of variations, but they have been sticking pretty faithfully to the GOATS, and so far they really have been making it work for them. Looks like we will be having the Sombra Farah coming out from the members of Aero 404 to answer it.
Hoping goats can make an impact, or hidden goats as it currently looks like.
Yeah, I dare say the game is up when they see no members around there, but the early charge skill into Phoenix Risen, absolutely huge. Kazukid under a lot of pressure as well, and there he goes. This will be a fight win for the defenders, and they will start to get these ultimates underhand, but there really hasn't been an answer to Paddle Wagon in the sky, and FCR getting DMAC'd here late in the fight is absolutely disastrous, as they now no longer have that defense matrix to eat the Farah rockets. That's going to be a lot of pressure on the defenders now.
I need to say that was an amazing charge from Who Cares there. But is they going to rotate to try and take this?
Yeah, just a lot of pressure on the point. Here comes the barrage coming through from Padawagon. Does actually not get a lot from that, despite as FCR has made it back into the mech by then, able to prevent a lot of that damage. So really nicely played there by the members of Not the Bank. They knew they needed to back up, and that said, we will finally have the cap coming through from Era 404. They've managed to clean up the members of the defenders, and they will get this cap underway.
Yeah, Padawagon's ult wasn't the killing blow for Era 404, but it was the distraction that allowed Kazuki to roll on through with the nano, which ultimately gave him that point.
Absolutely, and now Kazukid's got his shatter up, which he desperately needed because the defenders are about to have a lot of ultimates online to answer back. In fact, a lot of ultimates coming online for both teams here. So it's really going to come down to which team is able to execute effectively first. And so far, you have to give that one to Not the Bank. But here comes the EMP and the Shatter. Good timing there to clean up actually really quickly. So perhaps Aero 404 looking to redeem themselves. That's another very effective fight win, and they will be pushing this payload through most of B now.
Yeah, that's the problem. Unlike Dorado here, this is a map, Kings Row is a map where you can roll through the street space quite easily in comparison to it. There is a usual hold though here at last point defense, at second last point.
And here comes the Grav, goes for a counter shatter, but that's not going to do enough with Padawagon in the sky. Raining the barrage down, it's going to be a quick and decisive team fight win there, and it's just one lone Lucio making it back into spawn to deny the gong from sounding. This payload is probably going to be able to roll through B without another recontest coming out. They're pushing for it though. They are surging forwards to try and get this one. They're going to commit the beat into this. But they don't get there in time. They've committed the beat, they've committed the grab, but the cap goes through regardless. That is a bit of a misfire there from Not the Bank. And they are going to win this fight, but unfortunately the new respawns mean they are going to need to back up fairly soon as well.
Yeah, that's a massive misplay from Not the Bank there. As the cap came in, I would have personally just left. There was no point in pushing my ults into that. As they were just gonna respawn in 10 seconds and come straight back out to where they made it immediately.
Yeah, very close to getting one through, but here comes Kazoo coming in with the flank charge, does get slammed down to the ground though. He is now in a world of hurt and is not going to make it out of there alive. So unfortunately, Kazukid's gone down early, but April getting picked up by Padawagon means there's still a window of opportunity here to try and push through, but there's the shatter from Who Cares. No shield to be able to answer it, but the follow-through is not able to pick anyone up. Padawagon finally gets taken out as FCR hunts him down, and they will drive the members of Aero 404 back into spawn, but that is not the cleanest fight you ever saw.
No, that was not a very clean fight here. As Phoenix...
And there's another EMP shatter combo. Absolutely devastating. And oh no, we are going to see both Reinhardts falling down. Shiloh picking up the boop there to get a bit of revenge as Kazukid comes charging in forwards. There's the grab, but the Transcenders to answer it. We have grabs on both ends. but unfortunately, only one of those grabs had a Transcendence in it to keep everything up, as the members of Era 404 don't have a defensive ultimate available to them. This fight has turned into a real brawl here now, and we do have members from both sides reinforcing. Meanwhile, the payload continues to be stopped up here, time slowly ticking away as these two teams move back to a more poking posture.
That felt like a endpoint last point defense. The 3 meters that everyone got a rush on point there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's turning into a really brawly game here, but it's working out for the defenders because as long as they continue to win these fights, it doesn't really matter how rough and how messy they look, because that's still time ticking down on the clock, and the fact is the payload has not been able to move forwards because of how dogged this defense has been. That said, we are going to have another ultimate rotation coming online for the members of Era 404 here. They have been executing really well with the initial plays on these ultimates. It's just each time there has been a counter ultimate coming out from the defenders to really stop them being able to break open this defense. Here it comes again. Phoenix Rising jumping in once again. This time, big hack yet again, but the Shadow rather doesn't get the work done it has in previous ones. That said, Who Cares is going to get launched off the map here, and finally a fight win coming through for Era 404. They're going to get this payload moving. There will still be time for another couple of defenses here, though.
Yeah, 4 ults put into that fight from not Era 404. You got to be very proud of yourselves as defenders there. Use 4 ults to hold to try and go down after that.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they didn't commit any resources back means that they're in a good position here for this next fight. That said, that's 3 ultimates used now with no kills to show for it. The Grav finally getting the kills coming through, but definitely not the cheapest fight win, and the Res actually going through into Sefu as well. Unfortunately, already a lost fight. That is just going to be extra ultimate charge for the defenders. Charge that they desperately need after using both their big tank ultimates to win that one. That said, they do still have both the support ultimates online for the next initiation, but given how many of these have started with a big EMP, it's really hard to say how likely it is that they'll be able to even get those off. And now we just, again, have the teams pushing up on each other. Bit of jostling there. Padawagon continuing to pressure down from the sky, but here comes the Diva Bomb. The placement is good, but the shield is there. They do manage to pick up Cherie with the Fire Strike, though, and there goes Drac as well. So Who Cares just rolling through this support line. The space being created by the Diva Bomb absolutely being capitalized on, and that is going to be another successful hold for the members of Not the Bank. Late stagger onto Phoenix Risen, absolutely devastating. It's really only going to be one more chance to try and push through here, but they've got all the ultimates online to do it. And so here it is, the final fight for King's Row, backs against the walls. Here comes the EMP, gets stunned out as it happens. That's huge, and there's the support ultimates. They have overlapped them here, but Padawagon's gone down early, so has Kazoo Kid. The grab is there, but no one able to clean that one up, and here comes Who Cares, surging forth to try and end this one, and it is just a lone Zaya on the point here. She's nanoed, she's charged, she's dangerous, but she's by herself. Padawagon's come back on the Wrecking Ball now, just to try and keep this one alive, but with all the defenders here, it's going to be very difficult. Who Cares going to charge and intercept Kazoo Kid there, gets the bubble, there goes Kazoo Kid. It's just Padawagon alone on the point, but that Deadeye is going to end that one, and now it is just a lone Lucio, one man against the world, no more, and so that will be the end of this push.
Yeah, Not the Bank holding a successful defense at 3rd point here. It's a very tough challenge to beat here, 49 meters into 2nd point, but again, like Hanamura, you got to be worried if you're Era 404 not putting that clock time on the clock here, not having that time in the bank.
Absolutely, and it's looking like it's just going to be money in the bank, not the bank showing us an absolute knockdown on 3rd point, absolute lockdown. They're really just shutting out the members of Era 404, and now there is a huge amount of pressure on Era 404 to nail this defense, because this is it for them. This is their last shot. If they're not able to stop this payload before he gets to that golden box of victory, that's the end of this series, and they will go home with the loss. So a lot of pressure on them here, and yeah, there's not an easy thing to live up to. We'll see if they're able to hold off this attack push coming out from the members of Not the Bank.
Yeah, it's a very tough challenge here for Aerophora. This is their game currently. This defense is going to weigh on their entire series. And this is what's going to have to take them. Yeah, they're going to have to hold this very well. Pause coming out from Drac.
Oh, and we will be going over to a pause here, but this will give us some time to just talk about the tools that Era 404 have pulled out for this defense. So they are going to continue to run Padawagon on the Farah here. Perhaps unsurprising because he has been putting a lot of pressure down, especially considering Not the Bank has been favouring that Goats composition. So definitely an opportunity there to really punish that. They're also running Phoenix over on the Widowmaker, which is, again, going to provide a lot of long-range pressure. However, it does mean that their tank line of Kazukid and Sefu are almost on their own against the Goats push that's going to be coming at them. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on those DPS heroes, rather, to try and get a lot of damage done very quickly before the front line gets overwhelmed by the Reinhardt Zaya Brigida push that's going to come rolling over them with that Lucio there. And perhaps even more importantly, because they're running the Anna and the Mercy here, they don't have any answers to a Graviton. So if they're unable to win these fights decisively, if they're unable to get consistent kills onto FCR to really slow that Zaya charge and try and really snuff out that Zaya, prevent her from getting anything done, they're just going to get grabbed and lose. They don't have an answer to a grab. They don't have a diva to eat it. They don't have a support ultimate to give them the sustain through it. They need to make sure that any grab that gets thrown out happens in the late part of a fight where things are desperate and everyone's scrambling, and not a cleanly executed grab that can be cleaned up on, because otherwise they're just dead.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That grab from FZR is going to come in real crucial for Not the Bank. Not the Bank's attack coming in here on their Protect the President style goat comp.
5, 4, 3,
but I'm interested to see how the stack goes.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Clearing the area.
Okay. Who cares? Gonna come in here, try and bait out Kazukid. Gonna try and push him further and further back. Although Kazukid will take out Who Cares, allowing for a very open space here from taking out T-Starko as well, and that's going to allow Not the Bank. Probably going to have to back up here, even though Phoenix is Kappa and Phoenix are going to go one-on-one. Padawakan will take out Kappa from the back though, which will give Not the Bank some even more time to try and fight this out with.
Absolutely, and this is what you need out of this style of defense. They absolutely need to keep the pressure up. They need to keep getting the trade kills, because it is such a fragile defense. They can't allow the members of Not the Bank here to actually group up and get a good push. That said, it's working out for them. We have a minute off the clock already, and they are decisively winning this one so far. Every kill coming through. Finally, a kill onto Padawagon from Kappa, but it will just get res because they have that Mercy there. So the defenders continuing to hold. They need to keep up this momentum, however. They really can't allow any more casualties to go through. They need to keep the pressure on the attackers and make sure that they are not able to get the clean push they're looking for.
Yeah, that's really showed the kill off Padawakan really didn't give the numbers they wanted here. They're going to try and go around the back.
There's a shadow from Kazuki just knocking down the attack as it comes through. Cherie does get picked up from that one, however, but it is going to still be cleaned up. Phoenix Risen has been taken out by Kappa. The res comes through onto Cherie, but they are down a Widowmaker, which means someone needs to get onto Kappa. Pada is coming for it now. He's going to hunt down that Widow in the alley. A dangerous fight for both entities here, but the Widowmaker is now going to get snuffed out. They will actually get the bubble to get out to safety, but even then, you've used up the Zaya's bubble. You'll take that one, and it gives you enough time for Phoenix Risen to make it back onto this point.
Yeah, it's a very interesting bubble there. Kappa should have died. Kappa did.
It's a big grab coming through from Sefu, despite the Transcendence there, the kill's still coming through, and the defender's holding strong. There's now 90 seconds left on the clock. We're actually going to see some adaptations out of here. Shilo moving over to the Ash. This is what the defenses needed to keep this one going, and it's actually working out for them. Let's see if moving over to the Ash rather than the Widowmaker is going to give them what they need to try and break open this defense.
It should be a very interesting test here. Shilo versus Panawagon. As Panawagon goes slowly down.
Well, Shilo has a lot of pressure because they are also having to worry about Phoenix Risen as well, but FCR's finally got the grab online, and they, as mentioned, there's no real answer to it. If it's big, and it does get both the tanks and the Mercy, and they do end up committing the hammer down and the nano there as well, but they've done it, they've cracked open this defense, and they're going to get the payload moving in a decisive fight win. The power of ultimates, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they committed a lot of ultimates that fight, but they got the rewards they want, the results they wanted there. As they're going to allow 3 minutes on the clock here to push through the streets phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was the fight they needed to win. They couldn't afford that to continue as it has. Kappa now swapping over to the Widow and swapping back to the Zarya. So it looks like we've had a bit of a swap of roles, of Kappa moving over to the Zarya and FCR now on the Diva instead. But they're going to continue to surge forwards with the same composition. There's Padawagon dropping in with the barrage. Unfortunately, gets jumped on and snuffed out. But the damage is done, and April going down there as well is going to allow the defenders to set up a hold. Unfortunately, with Padawagon down, they do need to back up though, as the attackers are going to reinforce much quicker than they will.
Yeah, who cares? He's now going to try and get his team through this streets phase here. They're going to have this last streets phase fight, which is going to come up around this corner here. The burns, though, coming out for everyone.
Yeah, Shilo really putting a lot of pressure with those Dynamite 6 around the corner, just forcing the defenders to have to keep backing up. And, oh, that does catch a sleep, however, and that is going to be absolutely devastating. Dragons get sent through. The Transcendence is there to keep everyone happy. That is a grab and a shatter, but finally the kills coming through. Once again, the members of Era 404 will take control of the payload. There's just 90 seconds left on the clock, so this is definitely winnable. But again, another big investment from them just to win a team fight.
Yeah, they had to use a lot of ults there to get it. Padawagon could go down.
Padawagon gets slept, but he does manage to make it out of that one. Perhaps a bit of a miscommunication from the team means that not enough damage poured onto him, and he's able to roll out of a situation he really should not have been able to get out of. Here comes the shatter, completely blocked out. There's the grab instead. Bob being committed as well. That's a lot of ultimates from the attackers, but they're running out of time. They're feeling desperate, so they are going for it. Unfortunately, a lot of the defenders are able to back away. There is a late kill onto Phoenix, and actually the stagger kill is still coming through. This is actually looking really good for the members of Not the Bank here as they drive all the way into C. But Kazukid making it back in with a charge. There goes Who Cares. That's the late kill the defenders needed to try and set up a desperate last line defense.
Yeah, definitely here. But it seems like 2 kills from Padawagon off his Nanu. But it does seem like Not the Bank are trying to play this team fight by team fight. They're trying to use all their ults, all 6 of them together, trying to make something out of them to then push on forward to the next 40, 50 meters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that we have Who Cares going a little bit too deep there and getting punished for it, absolutely crucial, because the defenders have been able to regroup here now, and they do have the ultimate advantage. Got a lot of tools here. Here comes the Transcendence coming out just in time for that Dragons. Shatter not getting a lot, but they will pick up the kill onto Who Cares, and that means once again the defenders are going to surge forwards and send members of Not the back into spawn. Couple of late kills though means this is very dangerous. They do get the res onto Padawagon, but there's definitely an opportunity here to take advantage of this undermanned defense, and it looks like they're surging forwards to try and do just that.
Yeah, definitely.
And Who Cares getting very close to this shatter now. Members of Era 404 do back up. They know that they didn't have all 6 people with them. They managed to retreat in good order. There's one last team fight here over the fight. There's the grab coming out early, and now there is a Nano Reinhardt. Oh my god, that's huge! and the front line has been absolutely taken out from the members of Aero 404. Someone needs to get on the payload, but they just can't. And that will be Not the Bank taking Kings Row and taking this series 3-1.
That was a very interesting fight there. They knew Not the Bank strategy there on the attack there was to play the team by team fight. Play it by team fights, get the 4 ults, play them, and then move on to the next team fight. You get some teams that do that, and other teams that play them with 2 ults or 3 ults, and then they move on, and then they get to play another team ults. But what you saw there was the continuation of momentum. Even with stopping it, that was what we call the upside of momentum, and the flip there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so once again, we do see Not the Bank pushing it across the line at the end. They have been the stronger of these two teams fairly consistently throughout the series tonight. And that said, despite the scoreline, it was probably a lot closer than it looked. It was a 3-1 in favour of Not the Bank. However, both these teams very close. It just looks like Aero 404 perhaps regularly committing a few too many ultimates to get those fight wins. And in the end, that does allow Not the Bank that little bit of extra room to get this one across the line when the chips are down.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a little bit of miscommunication on Aero 404's part was there in place, but the scoreline doesn't determine what we saw tonight. Tonight was very much closer than the scoreline should appear to see. But I enjoyed tonight. Tonight was a very decent.
Absolutely. It's been a great game here for this Division 2 of the AAOL match between Not the Bank and Aero 404. That will be it from all of us this evening. So thank you everyone out there for watching this one. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you back here on AOE Sports next week. We'll be back next Friday for the next round of Ascent, and next Saturday for another AAOL. I've been Pyronius, joining me has been Bouncing Bear, and from all of us here, thank you and good night.